Hello, my lovelies. We are on a journey from feeling broken to beautiful, and this is your next step with Jen. So, I am super excited because you know that I am a self-help junkie. And so I'm always reading new books and kind of coming up with new creative ideas. And this is the space where I want to be vulnerable with you and share like the good times and the bad times and like what we're all going through on this journey, right? So we can figure out what the next step is. And one of the things that you might find in your life and in your business and in your day-to-day activities is sometimes it can feel like a grind. Like you just get into this space where everything just feels hard, right? And you're just kind of swimming through the soup. And that can happen in business, that can happen in life. And so one of the books that I'm reading is called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And I will warn you, there is a little bit of language in it, mostly all in one chapter because he uses a specific word that I won't say out loud. But I really found this to be extremely beneficial because I am very goal driven. You can't be a CEO, of your house, right? You're doctor mom, you're all of these things, right? You can't be the CEO of the business without, tackling some really serious goals and really accomplishing them step by step every day, slow and steady wins the race. But sometimes that can start to feel like a grind because it's like, what if I don't reach those goals? How do I find joy in every day, even if I don't make it as far as I want to? One of the things that they say is that you underestimate what you can do in like 10 years, but then you overestimate what you can do in 1 year. So you're like, in 1 year, I'm gonna do all these things, and you don't always make it. But then in 10 years, you're like, holy cow, look back at everything that I did. And it was amazing. So I'm loving this concept. He calls it bending reality. And everybody always has like catchy phrases and stuff, but I really loved what he had to say. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but when you're in a positive mindset, it kind of feels like everything's going your way. And that's what he calls bending reality. You almost feel lucky because you're happy and things are working and everything. And he said, but here's the problem. He's like, the biggest problem is that people connect their happiness to their goals. If I reach this goal, then I'll be happy. If I get this car, I'll be happy. If I get this house, I'll be happy. That is a very huge mistake that we all make. It's like, I'll be happy when? Well, the problem is that's a goalpost that changes. Now that I got the car, I'll be happy when I get the house. Now that I got the house, I'll be happy when I make the money. Now that I got the money, I'll be happy when I'm out of debt. Do you know what I mean? Like that goalpost changes. And he says, so what you have to do is be present and happy in the moment. That's easier said than done, right? We're all searching for that happiness. He says, and the key to bending reality and really filling that lucky space is to disconnect your happiness from your goals. And really, it's not goals, it's purpose, right? So you have to be happy in the now and find gratitude in the now. And you have to have a purpose in life. And these are two choices that you get to make. You get to choose to be happy and you get to choose to find and have a purpose. And that is your two goals in life. The great thing about what I'm doing right now is I have a purpose, I have a goal, and it's a really amazing purpose that I have. We're creating a tribe of women and men that love each other and are really dedicated to making the world a better place. So I have that purpose, right? But I was always connecting my happiness to that purpose. And so it was like a disconnect, right? So what we want to do is we want to have purpose and we want to have happiness, and then they will meld together. And I was like, blew my mind. I was like, okay, because here's how it works. Some people don't have a purpose and they're not happy. Life sucks. Let's just be real. You don't have a purpose, you're not happy, this is where you're gonna be. And things just keep going wrong and you can't figure out how you're not getting out of the mud, right? And then one day you decide, you know what? I don't care if life sucks, I'm just gonna be happy anyways. But you're never quite, it's not lasting, right? Because you haven't got that purpose, right? So that's where either you can have a purpose, but your happiness is connected to that purpose, right? So then you're not happy, it doesn't mesh. Or you can have no purpose and be happy, but then you're not really going anywhere, right? You have no direction. And so the key is to take that hand and, that life choice and have a purpose and have some happiness that are not connected. And then you'll be open to all the blessings that God wants to give you. And this is what they call bending reality. It was so cool. I was so excited to learn that. I was like, oh my gosh, I've lately been feeling like it's a grind and things are hard and it's like climbing this ladder. And I just was butting up against myself. And I was like, why can't I find joy in what I'm doing? And it was because I was connecting my happiness to reaching those goals. And like I said, that goalpost just kept changing and I never would get there. And so now that I'm like, oh, I know my purpose, I get to choose to be happy. And here we are. And it's amazing. Now, that is easier said than done, right? Like you're like, okay, that's great. So in this book, he talks about blisscipline. He's like, your job is to find your bliss. And I agree with that. I mean, really, it takes work, right? You have to work at it every day. And so this is where he calls blisscipline. And there's a couple of key things that he talks about in this book that I was like, oh my gosh, mind blown. And the one thing that he said was that it's very important to find gratitude. I don't know how many of you heard it, but Oprah herself is like, I just decided that I was gonna say 5 things every day that I'm happy with, and I was gonna write it down before I go to bed, and it changed my life. When you start thinking of and being grateful for what you have, then you can even be more grateful for what you get, right? And then it really just makes you feel good. Service is always one, getting outside of yourself and doing service for other people. The one that I thought was really interesting, they had decided that they wanted to teach people meditation and to get them to the level of meditation of the monks who've been doing it for 80 years. And they literally created this like biometric study and they could test the brain and all these things. And literally the number one tool and key to getting yourself to be able to meditate and quiet your mind was to forgive other people of the wrongs that they did to you. And I was like, wow, that is so powerful. And then remember, forgiveness it wasn't even about apologizing to other people or them apologizing to you. It was about you getting right and peaceful about what's happened to you. Forgiveness is really about you finding peace and not allowing the poison of other people to contaminate you. And so I was like, oh my gosh, these are 3 very simple things that you can do every day to have some gratitude, do some service, and practice forgiveness, right? And forgiveness really is an internal exercise. You think about the person that you're talking about and you just really pray and ask God and ask Jesus to find forgiveness in your heart for that person. And it really becomes this beautiful meditation between you and God. And it's really like, that sounds simple, but it really is that simple. Give it to God. The last thing that I wanted to quick talk about, and I felt like this was so mind-blowing for me, but he says that when you find yourself unhappy, it's usually because you are what he calls minding the gap. Mind the gap. And the mind the gap is you are upset because you are not where you want to be. You're upset because you haven't reached that goal. You're upset because you don't have what you wanted. Whatever that is. And there's a gap between your happiness and where you want to be. He's like, but the way to switch that on its head is called minding the reverse gap. And this has been so beneficial to me. Think about where you are today and how far you've come. You and I both know that life is about progression. It's slow and steady wins the race. And the great thing about minding the reverse gap is that's a very quick and easy exercise that you can do when you find yourself unhappy or not in your purpose. And so all you want to do is you want to open up your hands, you want to open up yourself, your mental, your body to receive the blessings from God, right? And the way that you do that is you choose to be happy and you really honestly find your purpose. And I love that my purpose is to help people. My purpose is to encourage people. And now that we've got that, then you can see how the bending reality works. You're open to the abundance that God wants to bring to you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was really helpful. And you guys go out there and figure out what of those steps are you gonna do today to start bending your reality.